Last season, I really liked play action pass. And you know what? This season, I think I really like it, and I may even like it more. George Chahrouri, Eric Eager alongside. We're going to talk about play action passing through 4 weeks this season. We are brought to you, of course, by mybookie.ag. And here's the thing. I think last season we saw sort of a revolution in talking about the different ways to maximize your offensive efficiency. So I guess the question is, has it gotten less lucrative to use play action passing this year?
Yeah, actually the opposite, right? So this season, play action passing is garnering a passer rating of over 102 on early downs. Last year was about 94, still above average, but certainly better this year. Yards per attempt over 9, PFF grade, EPA, all higher when quarterbacks use play action on early downs.
Yeah, and that's relative to last season where it was already a huge bonus to use play action. You look at non-play action versus play action this season, as you mentioned, just early down, so first and second down, we threw out those halfback screens to try and make it as pure as possible, not have any sort of adulteration there, and you are picking up nearly 2 yards per attempt when you use play action. Your grade, your PFF quarterback grade, and your EPA, expected points added per play, are doubling when you use play action. And here's the crazy thing. It takes longer, for the play to develop, so your time to throw increases. Sack rate not increasing at all, which I think is hilarious.
You're making pass rushers rush for longer, and yet they're not getting home as much. I think the crazy thing, though, is that teams, even though knowing all of this, and whether it be the biases inherent in, oh, we don't have a very good run game, so nobody's going to, bite on this, or it feels like a cheat code, feels kind of cheap, but teams are not running play action more on early downs this season than they were last year.
Yeah, it's actually down a whole percentage point, which I think is crazy. We're going to talk to you about some teams that are using play action well and some that are not. Some may surprise you. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about mybookie.ag. It is the best place to take all of the information you get here and put it to good use. You can bet on some teams that use play action a lot if you want. They have all the different bet types you could possibly desire, spreads, totals, even individual fantasy players, if that's your thing. They have in-game live betting, which is a must. Great customer service. They make it easy to cash out. We both use it, and we love it, and that's why we're telling you to give it a try. Use promo code PFF to get a dollar-for-dollar match on your first deposit. PFF plus MyBookie. You play, you win, you get paid. All right, the big question, is your team using play action, and are they doing it well? So let's start with the top here. What are the teams, the quarterbacks, that are doing the best off of play action? Yeah,
so if you look at Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, he was a very good play action passer previously in Washington. He's carried that over to Minnesota. He's generating more than half an expected point every time he drops back using play action. Other guys are Breeze, Goff, Trubisky, all guys generating more than a half a point every time they drop back to pass. Substantial value there. What's interesting, though, is this is sort of independent. We have a team like New Orleans that has a great running game. You have a team like Minnesota that has a very poor running game. It sort of bears out in that research that running games don't really influence this. It's literally just the play fake, and and we know that it's not necessarily stable either, so it might not even be the quarterback.
It's amazing. Your pass blocking ability is far more important for determining the success of a play action pass than whether your running game has been good or not, which I think is hilarious. And we'll find this to get even more funny as we look at the bottom of the barrel in terms of play action success. Teams that are on the opposite end of the spectrum of the Rams and the Vikings are who?
Yeah, so we see some teams that have negative EPA when throwing with play action. Tom Brady and the Patriots at 0. They just drafted a running back in the first round this year. Hey, listen. Eli Manning, negative EPA when using play action this year. They drafted Saquon Barkley, 2nd overall. Blake Bortles right behind him at negative .05 expected points using play action. They, of course, have been with and without Leonard Fournette this year. It just goes to show, again, A, that this stat is pretty unstable quarterback to quarterback, and B, the strength of your running game is sort of independent of how good you are at play action. It's a lot of scheme. It's a lot of how good your quarterback can be at times.
Here's what is going to really make all of the people very happy. Eli Manning last year did not have Saquon Barkley. I believe he had Orleans Darkwa and some sort of mismatch of running backs. He generated positive EPA off of play action last year. Now, it wasn't great, but it was on the plus side. It has now gone negative, and I think we just have to blame Saquon, right? It's clearly his fault.
Thank you, Saquon.
He's only breaking, multiple tackles every time he touches the ball, but that isn't having that big of an effect because, look, it still comes down to can your pass protection hold up, and then can your quarterback deliver the throw? Those are the two important components of being able to use play action. So, moral of the story, Use it more?
Use it more, independent of whether you're self-conscious about your running game.
Remember, it's not good to be self-conscious.